Awesome.
Always a
I
great intro.
I'm I think this is the second time that I hear this epic entry song, and I'm still impressed. I think it will wear off after a while. Um, Speaking of still being impressed, a couple weeks ago I stumbled over a blog post by Tim Lavelle, who's our guest today, and I was impressed, and I said to Dominic, "Hey, we need to get Tim on the show," and then we had to move. Well, not exactly mountains, but at least our regular time slot, because Tim is based in Australia, and you wouldn't be able to tell when you hear Tim speak, but he's not originally Australian, and Tim, welcome to the show. Thanks for being with us, and please introduce yourself. Beyond my couple of words.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Hey, it's great to be on here. Great to talk to you guys. Thanks for reaching out. My name's Tim Lavelle. I work at Accenture Song, based out of Sydney. Been back at Accenture about 3 years now, and I oversee our DXP practice here, and I specialize in the Adobe Suite, and have been with the Adobe Suite for probably around 12 plus years now, and kind of seen it evolve. And which is why I'm a really big fan of Edge Delivery Services. It's a huge shift, which is why I blog about it now, because it's a fantastic platform.
Excellent, yeah. And so how did you get started with Adobe Experience Manager and Adobe technology in general?
Yeah, that's a great question. Shamefully, I have to admit, when I was working for Suncorp, which is one of our banks here in Australia, I was a delivery lead, work on the insurance side of the business, and the role opened up for an architect for the Adobe Suite. And I was like, yeah, cool, but Adobe is Photoshop and Illustrator. You know, what do you mean, like a CMS? I had no idea it had a CMS.
Yeah.
So I took on the role anyways, and it was back then. It was still Adobe Experience Manager. I think we were on like 6.1 back in the day.
Right.
That's when I first got exposed, and I was really impressed with what it can do, how it can manage things. You know, forms came a bit shortly afterwards. Again, really impressed with the product and what it can do. But yeah, so when I first learned about Adobe having a CMS, I was gobsmacked, because I've been using Photoshop for like 25 years now.
Right.
My degree is actually in graphic design, so I know Creative Cloud very, very well. And it was very shocking and very good to know that Adobe has done more than Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, and so on.
Yeah. Well, and now the Experience Cloud ecosystem has grown to a massive amount. It's really powerful. It's a really powerful system, but at the same time, it can be intimidating to get started with, right? And one of the things that we aimed for with Edge Delivery Services is to provide a product that makes it very, very easy to get started with, right? And getting to that point, that's why I'm always happy to hear from people who are on the one hand entirely new to Edge Delivery Services, right? We've never done anything with Adobe software outside of Photoshop. But also, we have within Adobe Experience Manager, we have an incredible ecosystem of developers. By some estimates, there are between 10 and 20,000 AEM developers in the world. And I always love to hear from people who have been very deep in that established ecosystem and are then making the shift and making the mind shift to Edge Delivery Services. And so in the beginning, I mentioned a blog post that I was impressed with, and that was Dominic, if you can bring up my screen, then we can actually show it.
Yes.
It was this post. So about the mental shift that that teams need in order to be successful with Edge Delivery Services. And can you quickly summarize how or what that mind shift is, and how you got to the realization that a mind shift is needed?
Yeah. Quickly, I can try. There's a lot of shifts for an enterprise, for a brand, for a team, and for a user, going from, I'm going to call it traditional AEM, moving to Edge Delivery Services. It's a big shift because lots of brands are used to static templates, then to editable templates, and then we have Universal Editor, which it's a big shift from how they do things today. And that is one area that's quite a huge, like, it's a mind-blown moment for some customers. Some customers, it's a holy crap, we cannot do this. We're losing so much functionality at first outset of seeing this. And then the developers who in lots of brands in Adobe use React or Preact or Vue or whatever to build their websites. And they're so used to working that way. I've talked to developers and brands who, we're going to go and use vanilla JS and CSS. Like we're going backwards 20 plus years. And once they start to move beyond that mental visualization of what's happening and what's Adobe doing, actually get hands-on and see it working. I've been in meetings and calls where I've seen the literal light bulbs turn on. And people go like, oh, wow. I had a team where Universal Editor nesting for one brand was the utmost worst thing possible that they weren't allowed to do anymore. Oh, I can't nest my layouts. I can't nest my components. It's going to be impossible. There's no way we can do this. And that was a mental thought process. But once I went and showed them how to use Universal Editor and how you can manage your blocks, the biggest protagonists were saying, oh, that's a lot easier than I thought it would be.
Right.
That's not so bad. Nesting, not being able to nest, is actually a good thing because, as we all have seen with many, many brands, with column control components or editable templates and layout container, you've got layout spaghetti. We got layouts. Like I've seen brands who have 15, 16 nested containers of managing layouts.
Right.
And it's just so they can get a couple pixels margin or padding of how they want it. Not being able to do that at first was a big, big problem. But once we helped them understand, well, if you use blocks and you use your style guide, your design system, you're keeping to branding. You're keeping a consistency. You're having a common layout, a common visual.
Right.
And it took a lot of time for, my current customer, Qantas, who we're working on doing a complete rebuild of 7 websites for them. But talking to other customers as well, they have to, and I hate to say it, they have to see it to believe it. And they really have to use it to understand the value and benefit of what it can do.
And so this seeing is believing thing is something that we experienced very early on in the development of Edge Delivery Services, right? When we started working with customers, where we went into meetings with customers and said, what we're going to say to you, it's literally incredible, right? You're not going to believe us, and we recognize this. So so this is why we pushed for being hands-on very, very early on, right? We basically told every customer, give us a website. Give us any website. Give us the most important website that is not important to you.
Hmm.
Right, the website that isn't getting enough attention, and we will make it better in 4 weeks, right? And that is, it's on the one hand an incredible offer, because who is launching a website in 4 weeks? But then when you see what is possible with Edge Delivery, that's when you whet your appetite, right? And you think, oh yeah, actually I have a bigger site that would be interesting, right? And and going from small websites to basically the homepage, the very public front door of the nation's leading airline, right? The number one way how Australia is connecting to the rest of the world. I think this is an incredible this is an incredible feat, right? Not just in terms of the core technical achievement, but also in terms of getting the customer, getting the buy-in, and having and building the right kind of trust, to take that leap of faith.
Yeah, and with Qantas in current discussion, it was a decision that we made back in January this year. We
Right.
were doing a kind of a tech design phase with them, because we
Yep.
were moving to cloud service, and it was like, well, do we go with Edge? Do we go traditional? Like, what do we do?
Yep.
And I had been talking to teams multiple times around Edge delivery, the code, the editor. Let's just go for it.
Right.
Let's just attack it. If we find a problem, let's solve it when we get there. I spoke to their head of digital, and he agreed. And we sat in a room one day with all the leads. Hey guys, why not go to Edge?
Yeah.
And no one could answer. There was like, oh, it's new. Of course it's new.
Yeah.
For Qantas, who are a fantastic customer, they put so much effort and perfection in what they do. It's amazing working with them.
Yep.
But they like to know every possible thing that could go wrong.
Right.
Which makes going the new product a bit hard.
Yep.
But one of the big value statements for Edge Delivery Services is, in the old way, traditional AEM, when we do releases, we have to package up a jar file, we have to build it, we have to release it out to the solution. It takes quite a while.
Yep.
Traditional AEMs are 2-week deployments. With Edge Delivery Services, we can push code every single minute if we want to.
Right. Yeah.
And knowing that ability, their shoulders kind of relaxed a bit.
Yeah.
If we can fix things rapidly, we're a bit easier on going down this route.
Right. And I think a lot of complex systems turn out to be self-similar or fractal in the way they operate, right? So you said we're able to push multiple updates a day, and every single update only takes minutes, or for code changes it takes about 30 seconds until they're live. And this is very much a reflection of how we develop Edge Delivery Services internally, right? You can go to the aem-live website where we have a releases feed, and multiple times, right? And on top of that, I have a Slack notification for critical releases, right? For some of the components, like the delivery pipeline or the admin service, they actually hit my phone, and right, and you see it going off day and night, even on weekends. And a good part of this is because it's automated, right? Because we have a lot of automated processes. But this also means if we need to fix something, or if we want to update something, we can do this really, really quickly. And all of our customers adopting the same mindset, right? That you can move quickly, and that a lot of that on the one hand you had a lot of technological challenges in the past, right? Where just deployments would take very long. You would have very long build cycles. You would have relatively slow CI, sometimes even scheduled nightly CI, right? And now you are moving to a minute by minute cadence, and that also allows you to eliminate a lot of the review processes that you put on top of it, right? Because you know that every single rollback that you might need to do can be very, very fast. And I don't know how many rollbacks you had to do. I know that for the entire Edge delivery stack, we have to do maybe one rollback a year, right? For one rollback for a single service, which is, let me estimate, that's probably a tenth, no, probably a hundredth of a percent of all releases, right? And so it's liberating to know that you have the option, even if you never take the option, or even if you never have to take the option.
Yeah, and it is, and for current project, we haven't rolled back once. It's all been good launches, good releases. Yep. We've had a few defects. We fixed them shortly afterwards. But one of the mind shifts that needs to happen with Edge and deploying it very rapidly is, yes, I can deploy code very quickly. I can also deploy bad code very quickly.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we worked very heavily with Qantas, a couple of the customers, is if we're going to go and do Edge services, cool. Every brand, every enterprise wants to have automation everywhere, but it's so hard to get done because of all different layers. But with the Edge, because we can deploy so rapidly, we have to have automation everywhere. We have to have unit testing, automation testing, platform testing, CI/CD testing before it goes live to make sure that we are pushing the right code. We do have good code coverage, and we do have unit coverage as well. And that even goes down to our regression testing, because we are moving clients from multiple code repos, multi-tenancy, to one code repo with repo lists for one instance for all websites.
Right.
We now have to make sure we have proper regression in place as well before it actually goes live. So, and this was a decision very early on, is that we have to have test automation everywhere. And at minimum, 80% code coverage. So we can catch things. And that's been great, because Qantas in particular has been wanting to have automation everywhere, but it's so hard. Where with this project, because we're going to Edge, we are doing a greenfield build. It allows us to start fresh. It allows us to put the right things in place very early on and follow it moving forward.
Yeah. And when it comes to test coverage, this is absolutely a thing that we are seeing, right? For all of our internal services, we have essentially a project template that starts with just a hello world function and a test for the hello world function. And as soon as you go which means if you bootstrap a project, you start with 100% code coverage. And as soon as you go below 100% code coverage, as soon as you have the first uncovered line, the build fails, right? And that makes it, on the one hand, much easier to keep the code coverage up high. It also gives you a lot more confidence when it comes to changing code, right? Because for every bug, it's very, very easy to reproduce a test that is formalizing the bug report, and then you can go out to fix it. And that's a practice that I'm very, very thankful for, right? And it's something that is, as you said, much easier when you start greenfield, or when you realize that the legacy code that you have, that this can serve as an inspiration, right? But it can serve as an inspiration as much in the things that you want as it serves as an inspiration of the things that you want to leave behind.
Yeah, and that's why, and it's, when you go to Edge, I talk to other customers, I talk about greenfield not as a bad thing and a high cost thing, but as a great thing to throw away all the old ways of working, throw away all the old code, throw away all the duct tape that we put on things to make it work, and start with something fresh, new, modern, and build from there. And at first, other brands kind of reel back and like, wait a minute, greenfield, that's going to cost me a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
And then I talked to them around the development cycle. With Edge services, it's JavaScript, CSS, JSON.
Yeah.
If you do React, what are you writing? JavaScript, CSS. Like it's, and I wrote a blog around the comparison, called Back to the Future Edge Services. The comparison of writing Edge code and writing React code.
Yes.
It's almost a like for like comparison. Okay, you might have right here. I've got a table breakdown.
Yeah, I had it open. I had it open earlier today. Let me.
That's all right. But I talked to other brands, and once they realize that, you can see like the dev manager going like, oh, that's quite interesting. You take away the hassle of having to have this big build packaging setup, and all your web packing going on, and your CSS modules compaction. You just keep it simple, and that's why when I talk to clients with Edge services, I talk about the KISS method. You got to keep it simple, stupid. You're not stupid, but Edge has introduced simplicity.
Yes.
Simplicity with great functionality.
Yeah. And I think Dominic is now clacking on his keyboard to put the URL that I have on screen here into the recording. And Red, we've been you mentioned the power, the liberating power of constraints, right? Things like Edge Delivery says you cannot have nesting, right? You cannot have nested blocks unless you can. If you're clever enough, you can always cheat. But most people who are clever enough to cheat are then also clever enough to get bitten in their own rear by cheating, and this simplicity is really something that we put in as a key design principle, right? We said we want to keep things intuitive, simple, and consistent in exactly that order, right? And which means we are willing to sacrifice consistency for the sake of simplicity, and we're also willing to sacrifice simplicity for the sake of intuitiveness, right? And that is, right, in a lot of cases when we ask ourselves, okay, how should this work? The best question to ask is, well, if I knew nothing about this, how would I expect it to work? Right? And that's exactly how it should work, right? And then you come to these incredible solutions where you think, okay, what's the best way to deliver hypertext? What's the best way to deliver hypertext to a browser? And you find out that there's actually a language for this. And that you can serve it from a CDN straight away, which is what we're doing. Tim, your audio is cutting out. I don't know.
Sorry, I'll unmute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, and I think that's a big thing that I talk to multiple brands about is Edge Delivery Services, but more importantly, the Universal Editor isn't restricting you in how you create experiences and how you manage your pages. It's actually giving you so much more flexibility. I wrote an article and I posted under a different user on YouTube about is the Universal Editor is the flexibility we needed, but not further title is. It's the flexibility that we wanted, not what we needed.
Yep.
And that's because we've moved away from allowing teams to create all these layouts and have all this crazy stuff everywhere to I create a block. I have I have either a singular block so I can control my attributes, or I have a parent-child block, which I have my parent, I can add my child items, do it. Where in the old days with layout container or column control components, if I want to create a very simple 2-3 column article layout, and I want to change my image direction, left, right, top, bottom,
Mm-hmm.
I got to do it across each individual component.
Right.
Where with blocks and parent-child, in my parent, I can say alternate left-right, alternate top-bottom. First one is always big, last one is small. And it removes all this extra effort to go into each individual item and change things. Like the value of that is massive. I don't have to go and change in mobile, make it 12. In medium, make it 6. In full, make it 3.
Right.
Your branding controls that, which means brands now get consistency everywhere without all this authoring overhead.
Yeah.
And that's why I wrote the article, because it's amazing. Once you understand, it's really beneficial.
And I think a big part of this is having good collaboration between design and engineering, right? What we see sometimes is that that companies are coming with the predefined, what they call design system, and when you look under the hood, the design system is basically a bunch of React libraries or React components, or in some case web components, and then engineering wants to use them, and that's it, right? And what we see is that the power of collaboration between design and engineering for Edge delivery projects is really, on the one hand, designing what the site will look like, right? So what kind of patterns, not just in terms of what are the atoms that you want to put on the page, but also in terms of what are the bigger blocks, so to speak, that that the site is going to be made up of, right? And number two is designing the authoring experience, right? Because it's very easy to get caught in a place where the authors need a huge manual in order to, not just in order to achieve what they want to achieve, but in order to achieve what is consistent with the rest of the site, right? And when in reality things should be as simple as possible and should guide you toward, right? So the default should be something that if you don't put a lot of effort in, it's already perfect. And if you put in extra effort, you can make it different, which is in a lot of cases a deviation from perfection, right? And so, and you mentioned initially that you have a background in design. So how do you integrate that collaboration into your practice, and how do you work with design teams, both within Accenture and at the customer side?
Yeah, so when it comes to the collaboration between the design team, the development team, what we're doing very well in our current project is we have weekly meetings, review current designs. What is it doing? What's the interactivity? Is it following the guidelines of the design system and the tokens? But when it comes to functionality on what they want to do on interactivity around loading, we don't push back at all. The only area we push back on is when it comes to Edge, we don't want to write JavaScript code to listen to shifts in layout or sizes, because we have to add extra code, which means extra performance impact that happens. So we help the designers understand what you can do with CSS and how we can target certain things without having to go through a big change on an event listener for a change.
Yeah.
So, and once the design teams understood the concept, then they knew what to do moving forward.
Right.
But it was a lot of collaboration early on, and it was showing them how we manage a block at the authoring level, in UE. But then how do you write the code? And what do we mean when we say we prefer not to do this or do a mutation observer? We prefer to use vanilla JS and keep it simple.
Right.
Let's keep it simple. Do we need this complex functionality? Is it going to help with the conversion? Is it going to help with visibility? likely it's to design. It looks really cool, and it does. But cool versus performance, as we read lots of articles, every tenth of a second could impact conversions, right?
Yes.
So we want to make sure we have a nice, fast performing website.
Yeah.
So our design team works really well with us now, really well with us.
Yeah.
And when it comes to, you mentioned a bit earlier, I wanted to kind of talk to a bit as well, is traditional AEM. Back in the day when I was doing AEM components, Java, Slinglets, XML to configure our pop-up for Touch UI, I would constantly say to customers, to our development team, we need to do a design for the customer in, but we need to make sure we do a easy to understand design for the authoring. The tabs, the labels, what it means. That's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, a lot of XML, it's a lot of customizations. Where with Edge JSON, it's just so easy. It's just so easy.
Yeah.
But it's also why Adobe stresses get the content model right. And I can't stress that enough in a project.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to go down the path of getting a content model, developing blocks, launching pages, and then changing the content model later on.
Yes.
That does have a pretty big impact on older blocks without a proper migration. At Qantas, we're looking at having versions of the JSON so we can control a bit easier, because things will change.
Yeah.
But getting that content model right is really important. But it's super simple and super easy. I can push code to my dev environment so quickly, I can get it right within half hour, an hour. I'm doing some if statements based off certain selections and how things work.
Yeah.
Right.
So one trick that we've been using to get the content model right, and which we're still using for document authoring, right, is to just ask authors, hey, if all you had was Word, how would you write that page? Right. And that's a really good exercise, because Word is on the one hand a tool that every author is, Word or Google Docs is a tool that every author is familiar with, and it has constraints that are so well accepted that they're not even perceived as constraints, right? So you have in a lot of companies, you have review workflows that even that work entirely in Word or in Google Docs or in PDF, and then transferring it into the content management system in a lot of cases is really just the penultimate step, right? You have one more review step where you say, oh yeah, that's actually looking the way I thought it would look, or there are no weird rendering issues. But most of the content review actually happened way before that, right? And if you're able to hook into this process and intercept it and say, you know what, these intermediate artifacts that we are creating in this process, they are useful and we can use them to guide our authoring, then you are unlocking a lot of productivity in the entire process.
Yeah, it is. And the word concept does work well. We've, or at least myself, a lot of customers prefer the UE method. And every brand I've seen so far do things a bit differently. Some are very loose, easygoing. Some are very, what's the word? Very precious on how they manage your content. So it takes a bit more collaboration, but it goes back to it's JSON. It's so easy to change it. Like if you went back in the day traditionally, oh man, it was such a hassle. Such a hassle to change the authoring, and then the OSGR to Slinglets, the HTML or the React. Like it's an effort. It's a huge effort. It's not anymore. And that's why, Qantas and other brands are going, oh, let's just go ahead and do it. It's simple now. It's easy to change. But excuse me, but it takes time to get there.
Yeah. So one one thing that I see with a lot of our partners is that we have some partners who are basically looking at this from the sidelines and say, "Hey, I'm I'm going to wait to see how this plays out." Some partners are jumping right in, and where would you see Accenture in this journey?
So I think it depends on, Accenture. We're a very big company. We
Yep.
have all over the world. We do here in Australia, thanks to people on my team here in Sydney who are waving the Edge flag and talking to customers. I'm talking to customers in Japan, waving the Edge flag. That it's starting to get a lot of momentum. We're starting here in Australia. We're kind of, I'm not trying to toot, our horn here in Australia, but because we are doing the big implementation of Edge, for Accenture, I believe for Adobe, is we got a lot of people from overseas asking us, "Hey, why did you go to Edge? What is the benefit? What is the value of it?"
Yep.
So we are seeing more teams ask about it,
Mm-hmm.
but it really comes down to, and I'm going to name drop a very good friend of mine, Accenture, but a fantastic, super smart architect here at Accenture in Austin, in Sydney, Heyman Guard. When we first talked about EDS, protagonists, oh, it's crap. Oh, it's not that great. Oh, it's not going to work. He's a 20-year veteran of
Mm-hmm.
Adobe. He's ex-Adobe engineer. He has code sitting in AEM today that
Yeah.
he's written, and he just was not a fan. Didn't want to go for it. Even at a certain brand, their Adobe architects, no, we can't do it. It's not the right way. Can't do it. And over the period of the project, hey man, a good friend of mine, I got met. He and I get along very well. So I'm hoping he's watching. He's not. I'll make sure he does watch so I can tease him. He's a big fan of it now.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Yeah.
And so was the client architect, a big fan of it now.
Yeah.
Like once they start seeing it, they start believing it, they start using it. And that's part of what the arc of the mind shift is.
Yeah.
It's a big change.
Yeah.
But
And
take the leap. And as we know, any brand change is the worst thing possible for anyone.
yeah.
Right.
And I have to say I have incredible sympathy for all the doubters, because a good part of this is because I've been a doubter myself, right? So when we built Edge Delivery Services, there were so many occasions where I said this cannot possibly work, right? And it turned out, yes, it did work, and it actually worked exceptionally well. And right, and so what we came up with is a product that when we launched was very far from the mainstream. But at the same time, we are seeing this momentum, right? We are seeing people trying it, and we have some of the world's biggest brands running their homepages on Edge Delivery Services, and this is, on the one hand, this is exciting for me as somebody who is building a product, right, to see the adoption, but more important, it's also exciting for me as somebody who is browsing the web on a daily basis, and right, and knows that cool websites aren't just cool websites 10 seconds in, but they're cool websites 1 second in, right?
Yeah.
And Edge Delivery helps you to achieve this.
It does.
So,
oh, sorry, go ahead. Finish.
yeah, and so that's why I'm always happy to talk to the doubters, right? And it's also that the people who've been coming with the strongest doubts in the end turn out to be the greatest champions, right? And all it takes is you have to try it, and you have to suspend your disbelief for a couple of days, and get to the point where you say, oh yeah, I'm able to do this. Now let me bite off something bigger.
Yeah, and I agree. And for some people, I know more than a couple of days, right? But it takes some time to get in there. But that's Edge for performance and speed. you know, either fortunately or unfortunately, when we launched the homepage for Qantas, I just happened to take leave, planned way before we set a date for the homepage launch. So I was overseas in LA when they were launching the homepage.
Right.
I was in the air. I landed, turned my phone on, looked at the Qantas website in Los Angeles, and it loaded insanely fast. And I was like, holy crap. Like, that is,
Yes.
I've never seen that website load that fast before. It was instantaneous. And I was like, cheers, good job, guys, great work. And I was like, man, that's amazing. It's really good. And with the site, there are still things to improve. We're working on that, right? There's always areas to improve and configurations, but it was just amazing to see it load so fast. And stats wise, we're seeing some huge numbers coming. And massive numbers.
Yeah. And I'm traveling a lot for work, and slow travel websites is definitely something that irks me, right? And the reason for this is that when do you need the travel or your airline website the most? It's typically when you just landed, right? You're somewhere in the tarmac where nobody ever even bothered to put up a mobile phone mast, or you're inside the terminal building where there's bad reception, or you manage to get on the airport Wi-Fi, but it's also bad, right? So there's so many occasions when you're traveling where you just have bad connectivity, right? And there's entirely out of the control of the website, right? But then you look at how sites are designed and how they are presented, and they're built and designed from the comfort of either your home office, right, where you have a giant screen, and they're approved from the comfort of a boardroom, right, where you put up a projection of a PowerPoint, and this is how our site is going to look like. And it's never talking about these crucial 10 seconds when you're angling for reception, your phone isn't working, you're super nervous because you think, oh, I'm going to make my connection, I'm going to get this upgrade in, or and that's where the experience turns into reality, right? And that's the moment that you want to deliver.
Yeah, 100% agree, and that's what we've seen with the current website. Funny enough, we did put the design on a PowerPoint in front of the executive committee to get it reviewed. We have put it on large screens, and funny enough, when we put it on a large screen, what we saw going back to earlier phase on the design team. On bigger screens, site was too big. So we didn't account for larger screens, bigger size. So we did a bit more work with them on that. But it's really fantastic to see the performance of the site. And there are improvements made, and we're still working through it.
Yeah. So I have one more question for your practice, which is, how do you onboard new team members or people who are working with Edge Delivery Services for the first time, right? And can be both Adobe Experience Manager old timers, or people who you just hired, right? Who've never done any development with Adobe.
Yeah, that's a great question. I was on a call yesterday with the client around onboarding, training, governance. What does it look like? How do we get a team up to scratch, a developer up to scratch, a PR reviewer up to scratch? And my point of view was, someone new to EDS, Edge Delivery Services, Mark Schultz gets mad when I say EDS. So I gotta say Edge Delivery Services, or I get a Slack by saying, Tim, what's EDS? Side note. Anyways, what I feel is there's quite a few things, and let's ignore design system, let's ignore tokens and all that mapping, and look at Edge. I talk to customers around build a singular block, understand the pattern of building a singular block that lives by itself, controls its layout in a full column, what you can do with it. Then go to a parent-child block and build that. Understand how you can fluctuate your designs, your configurations. Then start to introduce some conditional statements in JSON and how that works for your properties. Then ultimately, once they get that kind of working, I then say, okay, go and build this block from this design. It's a block that we already have live in production. And I want to see how do they write the code, the JavaScript, the CSS, the unit test, compare it to production, and see how like for like or how different it is. Not to say you did it wrong, but to understand the thought process, the troubleshooting mentality, and then they can see the code and see how a bit different. At the end of the day, every developer writes code differently. Every reviewer reviews code differently. Like I've never seen someone just align. It takes time, but we can write best practice code and efficient code very differently, but still get the same outcome and the same performance. So I like to get them to develop a few things that we have designs for to get them used to the process and then review it as well. Like I said, and like you said, just do it. And as Mark Schultz says, just go build it. Just go build it and see how cool it is. I think Mark told me that many times early on. Just go build a site. Build a site. Tell me what you think. I was like, all right, Mark, I will go build a site.
So you mentioned that you're getting a lot of questions from your colleagues at your peer at Accenture and different parts of the company around the world. So now you have the opportunity to say it in a recording so that you can just point them to this YouTube video and say, you know what, before you try to get a meeting with me, watch this YouTube video, because I hope I asked the right questions, but this is your opportunity to say the things that I didn't got to ask.
Yeah, look, one of the things that I thought to our teams overseas in Europe and the US and Japan and to brands is just I ask them to approach it with an open mind, approach it knowing that it's going to be a greenfield, but don't think of it as a high cost. It is a simplistic approach to development. It is a different way of working and how we manage things, but it is a modern CMS stack. And your developers don't need to know aem. They need to know JavaScript. The JSON is super easy to figure out. It's not hard at all to figure that out. There are things on grouping, which do have its nuances, and when we do and don't use it. But my question is, why not? And why would you not go this path? It's going to cost less. It's going to be less time. The client's going to be happy. They're going to get the value that they actually wanted for a very long time. And they always ask, but what's your point of view on it? My point of view is, look, I'm a bit biased. My background is design. My also background is front development. So I love Edge because it's all front development. No word Java, and I would argue with Hammett all the time. Java, it's crap. Let's do Fed. And now it's so much easier. And it's just take the time to understand the tools. Take the time to understand, and that's why I wrote an article on Edge. Is not just Edge. Edge is also your sort of editor. The two come hand in hand. And when you have these two things working really well, like you're going to have such a simplistic experience, a happy customer. They're going to get what they need. More importantly, get it quickly. Make changes quickly. It's the same authentic experience no matter what. No more crazy components with all these different tabs and fields. It's repetitive. It's easy to figure out. It's easy to understand. I've been doing training for brands on how to use blocks, and it's become so repetitive. The training goes so quickly. We've done it once, you can do it again, because it's the same authoring model, it's the same concept, just different fields, and that's all.
Yeah.
So I keep going back to, it's a KISS method. We keep it simple now. Adobe has allowed us to keep it simple, keep it modern, to not have specialty AEM developers, HCL, Slightly, OCI, you might need it later on, front-end code, which means anyone can pick it up.
Yeah.
And that's the real value of that. And that's why I tell customers and my teams overseas, anybody can pick it up.
Yeah. So I have two more questions for you, and then
Sure.
and one question for Dominic, but he already knows this. What is the one thing that you would ask Adobe to add to Edge Delivery Services, or what is the one thing that you would ask Adobe to take out of Edge Delivery Services?
The one thing to add, if I ask my team, I'll probably get a dozen things here. Look, maybe not add, but maybe fix.
Okay.
The current asset selector.
Yep.
Only shows images, not my folder structures. So I have to know the image to go and find. Versus when you upload assets, you go to a folder,
right,
and you upload it. But when in UE, I can't choose my folder. I have to go and search it. Which means a new user, they got to ask someone, "Hey, what's the image?" I got to try and find it. Right.
Okay.
So I think in that way, and I've seen it, that would be a huge update.
Good.
Really easy for teams.
Okay.
One thing to take away, I can't think of anything right now to take away. It's so new. It's adding more things. Don't take stuff away.
Yeah.
Just give us give us a better asset picker.
Okay. Well, I will make sure that the AM Assets team is watching this recording.
Yeah. Okay.
And in terms of taking away, one thing that I should mention is we are going to take away the hlx.live and hlx.page.
Okay.
So if you've been working on Edge Delivery for a long time, this is not your last reminder, but it's getting close to your last reminder that we're going to take these domains away. It's now aem-live and aem-page.
Yeah, we use it already anyways.
Yeah.
So we're not using Helix.
And so for a couple of months already, new projects weren't even able to use the hlx.live and hlx.page domains. Mm-hmm. We still have a I think it's 0.5% of the traffic is still going to hlx.live and hlx.page. Yep. So we don't want these 0.5% to go offline. So if you're one, please prioritize this.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, we have a question for you guys.
Pardon?
I have a question for you guys. Yeah. A question / request.
Yeah.
So I know that when we create a new template, we use the aem boilerplate.
Yeah.
As our starting base. Is there? And I've asked Mark this, and Mark, forgive me if I'm putting you on the spot here. But is there any way to notify team that there's been updates to the boilerplate, to script.js, to other core files that the team should bring into their template? Because they are separated, right? And there are updates to it. But I don't see any kind of notification on we've made some changes to script.js or to editor support JS file, etc. That would be important for teams to bring in to their solution.
And so I can speak for the to the Edge Delivery boilerplate, right? Where our philosophy has been not to do this, right? So we don't cut official releases of the boilerplate code. There's no there's there's no release feed like for other things, and the reason for this is that we don't want you to feel pressured to stay up to date with this, right? So
Right. Okay.
because right, you in a lot of cases we want to avoid this upgrade churn, so this is why we are building boilerplate very, very carefully to make sure that to make sure that at any state it's great. And I was one of the people who actually drove something where we wanted to get a bit of adoption, which is we changed our operational telemetry instrumentation, right? And I had a push where I reached out to a bunch of projects, opened even pull requests for them, and the thing is, in the end, nobody cared. And by this point, I would say they were absolutely right not to care about this, because it's not your responsibility to keep up with this. It's our responsibility to deliver something that is great for you in the first place, and then work with you if you have the need to do this. So only treat this as please don't treat the boilerplate as something that you need to put that is being pushed on you. It is something that you can pull and pick and choose from when it makes sense for your project.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Thank you.
So Tim, thank you so much for your time today.
No worries.
I think we didn't say it in the beginning, but once we stop the recording, please stay on for a couple more minutes, because
sure.
StreamYard wants to upload the full recording so that we get you in glorious HD on YouTube. And and so thank you very much. We are connected on Slack, so I know that you will reach out. The very, very last question I had for you was, what's the next project that you would want to launch on Edge Delivery if it was your choice?
Yeah, look, I can't name brands that we're talking to, but we are talking to, or at least I am talking to, other airlines in different regions, multiple regions, different telcos in this region, and some automotive manufacturers over in the US as well.
Great. Well, and you know it, and I think everybody watching this knows it. If you need any help from Adobe in this, reach out, and we're happy to give you every kind of support in winning these deals.
Yep. I've got multiple people on speed dial over here in Sydney that I talk to constantly.
Yes. Great. And that leaves me with one last question to Dominic, which is, when are we going to see each other again? What's the next time to connect with aem-live and the aem community?
Exactly, that's the right question, because we first will have Developers Live coming up. So I think in 2 weeks we will meet in San Jose, and for the first time we can meet us around the world. So we have, after the live session in San Jose, we will give a hand to Sydney, Bangalore, and then to Basel. So they are all more or less sold out already, but I'm sure we can squeeze you in if you want to join. Of course, San Jose is not sold out because we have a huge office there, so we can cover a lot of people. So no, this is coming up, so you can meet us there. Lars and I will be there from November 10th on, so you can speak to us and other experts. And then, of course, in the same week, on November 13th, let me click here, we will have Chris Millar here on YouTube in the Thursday frequency, talking about the author kit for aem Edge Delivery Services. So this will also be a great session in about 2 weeks. Then again on, I think, 5 p.m. CET, the normal time, more US friendly. So yeah, this is what's coming up.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Dominic. And I think that means we're going to end on the dot at exactly 60 minutes and 0 seconds. Thanks everyone for watching live, and thanks for watching.
Thank you.
The end of this recording.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
See ya.